Good evening and welcome to Let's Talk Cattle. I'm Judd Cullers of Heritage Cattle Company. It is indeed a pleasure for you to tune in with us tonight and hopefully you can take something away from this segment. In the future, at the end of each segment, we're going to give you an opportunity to ask some questions which we'll try and provide answers for you in our next segment of Let's Talk Cattle. Last week I was over in Panama, the country of Panama, with my wife Gayla. And so I just want to say a big thank you and hello to those breeders over there. They treated us extremely well, gracious host. I'd like to thank Rodolfo Marino and his family for just having the energy and the hospitality to welcome us into his home, and just had a great time being with him as well. The show was incredible, lots of really good cattle. Most of the champion cattle were sired by U.S. bulls, and of course we appreciate the continued business that we have with the country of Panama. Like you, many of you watching tonight, the cattle business has afforded my family and I a lot of great memories and a lot of opportunities to go out and meet other people and to share our knowledge and our cattle and our genetics with the customers. And but with those achievements come responsibilities. And tonight I just want to focus a little bit on what those responsibilities are. As cattlemen, you know, really our number one goal is to provide protein for the people of the world. And in doing that, you know, we need to be really good stewards of our land. We need to utilize our forage and our grain sources to the best of our ability. And one of the key words sort of in the business model is efficiency. Efficiency can be achieving maximum results with very minimum effort or less cost. And I think the truth is that we can also do the same thing with our cattle. And so there's some things that we want to discuss a little bit tonight about ways that we can utilize our cattle to be more efficient and to provide a bigger return as cattlemen. Tonight I've got the privilege of welcoming to Let's Talk Cattle a longtime friend of mine, Mr. Chris Shivers. Many of you know he's been in the Brahman business and worked for the Brahman Association for about 17 years, worked with our youth, and then he went ahead and became the executive vice president and just really a big debt of gratitude to Chris for sort of leading the way in a lot of these movements, particularly our bull testing and our feed efficiency program that we've got going on within our association. And right now Chris and his wife, they own Infinity Cattle Service, and Chris has made himself available to a lot of the breeders. Already have contacted him and invited him in. You know, from registering cattle to doing DNA information, programs such as these, our Team Heritage Bull and Female program. I mean, he's helped orchestrate this and really has helped me to put it together. And so I appreciate that. But Chris, if you don't mind, come on in here and we'll welcome you to Let's Talk Cattle. And Chris, man, appreciate you being here with us tonight. And I just want to tell you personally, man, you've done a great job for association for a really long time, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds for you. The talent that you have and the way people can kind of pull in and use your expertise with your new endeavor, I think it's going to be really good. But things I want to know a little bit, since you've kind of been in the association for a while and you've kind of watched this association grow in a lot of different ways. Probably a lot of membership has changed. We've had new members come in, and we really appreciate that. But let's talk from a carcass standpoint, or from maybe a feed efficiency standpoint, it would be a better question. From the time you first kind of came in from Mississippi State to maybe where we are right now, there's been some tests that have been done, and kind of expound on that just a little bit, and let's talk about where we were and kind of where you think we might need to head.
Well, good. Well, Judd, first and foremost, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I think this is a great endeavor that you're doing here, and And it kind of leads into why I left the association and what I hope my future hold is. You know, one of the things we really saw was that we need more educational opportunities. And I think Let's Talk Cattle is certainly a great venue to provide education to people. And I think obviously in a very you know, informal manner of you coming and talking about what the previous questions were and answer some of those and the issues that the people want to hear about. So I do applaud you for that. In regards to the expansion of the Brahman breed and the improvement, to answer your question, when I started ABBA in 2000, we didn't know anything about basically the beef quality of our Brahman cattle. And certainly, first and foremost, we are a carcass breed, and that's where we should place our emphasis. And from the onset of your program, you said we need to, one, produce quality beef, and secondly, we need to do it in a very efficient manner. And I think that as Brahman breeders, we owe that. And I think that that's going to be the potential for the Brahman breed especially is to go into Central South America and these other lands where, you know, it's not suitable for anything other than animal agriculture, and we can produce protein. But to get back on topic and answer your question, when I started in 2000, and one of the reasons that we started the carcass evaluation program was we didn't know anything about our cattle. We were taking some knocks at that point, really because our cattle weren't tender, and the industry was looking for any reason that they could to discriminate our cattle. So we as an association had to come together, and we had to prove up our product, and we did a tremendous job of that. We first started that program in 2000. The first animals were harvested in 2001, and they continue that program even today. I'd give you rough numbers, and I would tell you that roughly 1,500 animals, and those would be registrable Brahman steers, have gone through that program. Some 300 sires have been proven up. As a result of that, we're able to launch carcass EPDs. But more importantly, we've seen that every trait has improved, including tenderness. And we probably made the greatest stride in tenderness, seeing the Warner-Bratster shear, which is the test for tenderness, was somewhere around 12.5 pounds back in 2001, and today is less than 8 pounds. And the industry says that 8.5 pounds, more or less, is suitable for white tablecloth restaurants. So we made a lot of progress, and it's only through a concerted effort by producers such as yourself and many other Brahman breeders who might be watching tonight that came together. They saw the need, they saw the importance, they tested their cattle, they took the information that they got, they incorporated it into their program, and still today we have a great network of tools, whether it be through the carcass evaluation program, through DNA technology, or through ultrasound, that many of our breeders are using today. They're taking that information. They're also utilizing the EPDs that the information is submitted on. And as a result, we've seen vast, vast improvements in the breed.
Yeah. You know, and one of the things, while I was sort of preparing for tonight's topic, I looked up, and United States, U.S. consumers consume 24 billion pounds of red meat a year. And when you think about that, I mean, that's feeding lots of folks. And on the average, we eat 72.3 pounds per person a year. And if you're like Chris and I, that number's slightly higher because we enjoy a good steak. Well, I appreciate you touching on that, Chris, for us. And as we move forward, you know, one of the things that I feel that we need to probably start paying closer attention to, and it really was eye-opening to me whenever I travel through Central and South America, is they just don't have the feed sources that we have here. And while the cattlemen from those different countries are coming in to buy our genetics, to buy our semen and our embryos, we've got to make sure that these cattle are performing in their climate and in their area just like they are here. And so you know, rather than sit there and just pour feed out in a feed bunk, you know, I'm just kind of wanting to take a little different approach and try to raise these cattle on as much forage as possible, because that essentially that's the area they're going to be in. Right. And y'all have done some bull tests there for the Brahman Association. In those tests, was that primarily grain-fed test, or was there some forage options given also for those bulls?
You know, the program is in its third year now. The first year it was more of a dry lot situation where those bulls were fed a grain based ration. And then some improvements, as you might expect, as programs go longer, more improvements are made. The second year, it was I wanted to say a combination of both the grain-fed as well as a forage diet, and I think they continue to remain on that program today. You're exactly right. I think that we have to look at how these cattle are going to perform on grass, and I think as a result of that, it might even somewhat dictate the kind of cattle that we need to produce. So I think keeping that in mind, especially from the global perspective. But along those lines, too, I think that the emphasis behind a bull test program like this and what you're going to expound on later in the program tonight, I think we have to continue to just do any type of testing and identify what the differences are. So although it's great that we test these cattle on grass, I think the important thing is we really need to see what the difference in the genetic makeup might be.
Right. And I appreciate you touching on that test we've got coming up. Folks, we think this is pretty exciting news. It's something Gayla and I wanted to do a long time. I guess my eyes were really open during my foreign travels. I get the opportunity to consult for about 15 different ranches in 4 different countries every year, and just kind of getting down there in the grassroots of things has opened my eyes as a producer of beef and even as a cattle judge, because oftentimes we sure like to go and get those little young babies to win a big show, and we forget the end result is this food chain and this production of protein. And so I think that if we're using cattle that are more efficient to win our shows, obviously I think that's going to translate over into our commercial sector as well. We're calling it Team Heritage Bull and Heifer Test, and we've actually kind of started it this past week. We've started to bring in cattle. We've tried to contact breeders that are customers of ours. If for some reason you haven't been contacted yet, please don't feel offended. You're invited. What we're looking for are fall-born bull or heifer calves that are unbranded. We're going to bring these bull and heifers into our headquarters here at Heritage Cattle Company, and we're going to sort of give them a warm-up period of about 45 days of gentling. Myself, I really feel like that the disposition of our cattle is something that we don't think a lot about, but is truly something that we have to do in order to market our cattle, and I think they just feed better. I think gentle cattle just feed better than something that may be a little bit unruly, I guess, when you get ready to work them in a set of pens or whenever they're nervous. I don't think they eat quite as well. So again, anything out of a heritage bull or a heritage-based bull would qualify. Any of your cows that are heritage-based or heritage genetic cows would qualify as well. So what we've done is we've tried to lower our cost as far as what it would take to bring these cattle in. We've set them up where it's grain and forage based, so we're lessening our costs right off the bat. And we'd like to just take those cattle from you at weaning and let us handle the work here. Let us do the management for you. Once they've gone through the test and we get the daily gain on them, we get the ultrasound information on them, we'll do pelvic area measurements, we'll do repro measurements on our heifers, and then of course the BSC test on our bulls, is we're going to have an auction sale for you. Our goal is to have 2 sales a year, 2 bull sales a year, and 2 heifer sales a year. And so with that, I think as we sort of come together and we network these cattle that are produced basically alike, we'll also be looking for uniformity in disposition, but I think it gives us a great networking system to market our cattle in a larger venue, and I think in doing so, the customers will also be attracted to something a little bit bigger. So as we conclude tonight's segment, I'd like to just remind you that your spring-born calves, the ones that are born from January to a current date, are going to be eligible for our next test. Those cattle will start coming in here in October. Probably somewhere around the middle of November is when we'll start the test. And so again, I want to welcome you to contact me. Let's get together. Let's get those cattle in groups, contemporary groups, and let's do the best we can for your program. This month we're running a special on 4 of our bulls that if you want to be involved, you can jump in at any time and purchase semen on these bulls. And these are bulls that are proven. They're low birth weight bulls. They're bulls that are very gentle in disposition, and we would love to accept the calves and the offspring of these bulls in the future. So in conclusion, again, thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. We'll try to do a segment every 2 weeks. Again, send us your questions, comments. We'd love to address as many of the things we can. Chris Shivers, it's been a pleasure having you with us tonight.
Thank you.
Chris, I just want to thank you again for being with us on Let's Talk Cattle. Have a great one, man.
Thank you.